Jake, and this is
Neverland Navigation Radio,
where we take a slow-moving atmospheric boat ride through the weird history of one of our favorite Epcot pavilions, the Land. Yes, it's not, this is a fun, weird episode because the Land is a fun, weird pavilion, and it has a fun, weird origin story.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to kind of weave in and out of some history of the Land.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about what is the Land, what has it been, and what might it become.
Oh, I'm not talking about what it might become. Sorry.
Okay.
You can talk about what it might become.
But this is Epcot. This is about
That's
the
true.
future.
That's true. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a little surprised. So if you think about opening day pavilions,
Yes.
most of them have shut down.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that the one they're like, oh, we're keeping that forever is agriculture.
When you say it like that.
I know, right?
Yeah,
it
that
puts a
makes
whole
sense.
different perspective.
Yeah.
They're like, motion, nah.
No.
Energy, no.
Not interesting
No,
enough.
not interesting. Agriculture, heck
Oh,
yeah.
I love agriculture. That is funny. I never thought about it that way, but it's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who knows what it will become? You think it's gonna stay? It's just there. It's just done.
Yeah, maybe they'll put IP in it. IP, like intellectual property, into the Living with the Land ride.
Yeah. Let's think. Who's a farmer?
Moana's family.
Oh, that's cute.
Consider the coconut.
Yeah.
Morgan.
Yeah, that's cute.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
No idea. I'm sure there's plenty of others. Like if you look back,
Right.
I just don't know.
Yeah, that was a really. You would have had to think really quick. I mean, you did. You thought of Moana's family farm.
And that's a pretty loose connection.
Yeah, but I'm still impressed.
Oh, thanks.
My brain went Mickey the farmer.
Yes, love him though.
I do.
In Garden Grill, love him.
Yeah, look at your little outfit, Mickey. I love it.
That's probably one of my favorite Mickeys, actually.
Yeah, same.
Is that farmer man?
Yeah.
All right.
Man.
Hey, we're still in the intro.
I know. Sorry, I jumped.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you would like to help to support the show, you can do that by subscribing wherever you found the podcast and by leaving us a review. It helps the podcast become more discoverable and helps us continue to make episodes that delve into these weird and wacky facts about theme park history and travel.
Yeah. And if you are thinking about taking a vacation, whether it be to Epcot to learn about agriculture or anywhere, Disney, Universal, a cruise, please consider emailing me because I am a free-to travel agent. When you book your own Disney trip or cruise vacation, you are paying for the price of your travel agent's commission, whether you use one or not, because it's baked into the price. So you might as well have somebody that can help you out. If you want, not help you out if you don't want. They can offer you tips, tricks. They can get up and make dining reservations for you in the whole shebang. My email is morgan@neverlandnavigation.com. So please consider that.
Book with Morgan.
Yeah.
Because only then will you truly be
living with the land.
I guess.
I guess.
Yeah, living with the knowledge that you're helping a small business.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, only then.
Only then.
But only now.
But only now.
It's time to talk about the Land.
We're going to get into it.
Heck yeah.
Okay, so Epcot opened on October 1st, 1982. As we all know, it's good trivia, good thing to know.
Yep.
And this is one of the pavilions that's been there since the beginning.
The green one.
Yeah, it was built upon all of Epcot. Well, the Future World part of Epcot all of Epcot was built on a foundation of edutainment.
Oh, yeah. The World Showcase is very edutainmental.
Yeah.
And I said it right.
I think of Future World as being a little bit like school, but way more fun.
It is a little museum. It's got that museum, that science-y, futuristic vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Future World, which is the northern half of the park, consisted of massive brutalist and geometric pavilions that were dedicated to the core pillars of human survival and innovation, which were at the time energy, transportation, communication, and imagination, and then agriculture.
Everyone's favorite.
Yeah, the first one you think of, really.
Yeah.
The Land Pavilion was meticulously designed to explore humanity's historical relationship with the Earth, the delicate balance of diverse global ecosystems, and the cutting-edge technologies required to feed a rapidly expanding global population.
I see why Epcot was interested in edutainmentifying this particular commodity.
Yeah, well, they did everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They really covered all of survival as a human race. You know what I mean?
Yes, health eventually came, and it was always part of the plan. Like, it's so true.
Right. The sea. I don't think I mentioned the seas, but that was there from the beginning too. So like, they just kind of covered everything that has to do with. If there's a textbook. Yes, exactly.
If there's a textbook on it,
then
we'll have something.
Yes. Isn't that an interesting, weird way to think about it? But you're totally right.
Well, they didn't do
like I could kind of imagine. No,
but like computers.
No math.
Kind of mathy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's still kind of true.
There's only so much you can do. You can't do math.
I know. Oh, actually, there was math in the original Journey into Imagination, I believe. There was
really?
There was like the counting numbers and the abacus and all that.
I mean, there's a little bit of math in everything if you want to be.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying. You're saying like it was actually represented.
Yeah, a little bit of addition.
Yeah, crazy.
My lord. All right, sorry.
But yeah, pretty much all the rest of the textbooks, you can imagine, the textbook with the farmer and the one with the fish. And,
totally.
Yeah, the one with space.
Fun. Fun. I love you, Field Trip Epcot.
Yeah. So an interesting thing is that this pavilion covers 6 acres of property, and I know boasts an interior footprint of 2.5 million square feet.
Wow.
Which, that's way more than I imagine.
Do you think that's got to combine both levels?
Yeah, and I think it's the greenhouses that we don't see.
Did they say square foot?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it's also because there's a lot of, think about how much food they produce. Right. It can't just be the parts you see on the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
But you took the tour, so did you get to see more than we get to see?
I did.
Yeah, so it must go back a ways, right?
Me and the land, we go way back. No, yeah, it does. It does. The facilities do extend beyond what you can see.
Because it's not just an attraction, it's a living ecosystem, or a living farm, I guess I should say.
Totally, yeah. It's a modern, mostly hydroponic, but also many other methods. It is a modern farming facility, but it's also an educational center. So there's rooms that you don't see on the ride that are part of the behind the scenes tour.
Yeah.
Now, are they all interesting?
No, I'm sure they're not all
Not even a little. No. But they do feel like being in a science classroom in the 80s.
Sure.
Even to the point where they play an educational video at one point.
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
And wowee, does it take you back.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Puts you right back in school.
It's kind of like when you hear about how big the aquarium is at the Living Seas Pavilion.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's crazy. Like, we must not even see most of that.
Yeah, there's a lot back there.
Yeah. So some of the stuff is like there for reasons other than being part of the park, I guess. It's hard to explain, but I think you guys get it.
Party in the front, business in the back.
253,780 square feet of that is dedicated to the main show building itself.
Yeah.
So that's 253,000 square feet out of 2.5 million is the main show building.
Okay. So
that kind of gives you a little bit. There's a little math for you guys.
Oh my gosh.
I did it.
The math attraction, the lost math attraction.
Anyway, it was and still is the largest pavilion in Epcot.
Speak on it. She ended the other pavilion.
Which is surprising considering how big the Seas Pavilion
Agreed.
is. I mean, that's the biggest aquarium, right? And is it in the U.S.?
No, it wasn't.
No, it was.
Until the Georgia one was built.
Oh.
The Atlanta Aquarium.
So close, too.
I know, right?
Wow. It's like a slap in the face.
Friendly fire on that one. Thought we were friends.
Okay. Anyway, the facility was practically a self-sustaining city, matching the total footprint of Fantasyland and Magic Kingdom, Within its walls, guests would discover a meticulously engineered ecosystem housing 3 distinct attractions: a massive food court, a rotating table service restaurant, and fully operational state-of-the-art agricultural greenhouses that actively produced food for the resort.
Oh, I love Epcot.
Other iconic Epcot pavilions from the 80s, such as Horizons, the Universe of Energy, and World of Motions, have been entirely gutted. This is what I was talking about earlier, demolished or replaced. But the land has a remarkable biological resilience.
Yes, she's a survivor.
Yeah, it's continuously adapted. I don't know. I said this. It has adapted.
It has.
It has. All
Quite,
right.
Yes, several things have come and gone.
I know, but we'll go on the land and it feels like I'm in the 90s.
And the building itself is very food court in the dead mall.
Yeah, yeah. So like it has, but
it also
is it yeah, it also hasn't.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Such is Epcot, baby. Such is Epcot.
Right. It holds Soarin'. I don't think it's going anywhere.
It's not.
I wouldn't be surprised if some things changed.
Me neither. There's some
Awesome
space.
Planet could be, and that was recently redone. I don't.
Not that awesome.
No, not that awesome. Kind of depressing.
Depressing Planet.
Yeah, depressing Planet, which it is. I know, because we're ruining it. But like,
back to Disney.
Yeah. Well, that's in Disney. Yeah. Anyway.
You can't escape.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Yep.
Anyway, the land has demonstrated a resilience, and it has survived shifting corporate sponsorships from Kraft Foods to Nestle to the Chiquita Brands International. More importantly, it has successfully updated its messaging to reflect the evolving scientific consensus on nutrition, ecology, and climate change.
Get into it. Disney attractions as reflections of society.
Yes. It is kind of funny, and I get into this later, how they did Kitchen Cabaret, and then the science changed. Then,
yeah, nutritional science, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, actually.
They're like, oh, okay, so this stuff isn't factual anymore. Don't listen to us.
Oh, you should put your milk in the fridge. We didn't know.
That bad.
I know it wasn't that bad.
But it was from 4 food groups to the pyramid that it changed, and then anyway, they're singing about stuff that's not true.
Nothing stays the same.
Yeah, that's true. I know. It's very weird to think about.
It's true. This happens all the time. Like when we were talking about adventure through inner space.
Yeah.
We can't have an attraction about chemicals and like molecules and stuff, because they were making weapons. So biological weapons. So it's so weird how Disney has to navigate all these minefields with everything, including the land pavilion.
Yeah. Wild.
Yep.
Okay, where was I? Sorry.
I think we were speaking of the vibe. The vibe of the pavilion. It was very Dead Mall-esque. It still kind of is.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and I'm going to start talking to you about the conceptualization, because this to me is the most interesting part. Okay,
I love this.
You know our friend Tony Baxter.
Oh, good pal.
Yeah, he's gonna be a big part of this. The pavilion that guests experience today is vastly different from the one originally pitched during the Blue Sky development phase of Epcot. The initial concept for the land was spearheaded by legendary Disney Imagineer Tony Baxter, who was riding on a high of triumph from designing the Disneyland's Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, which of course is still a wild success.
Yes.
Baxter had previously designed an ambitious unbuilt expansion for Disneyland called Discovery Bay. I believe we've discussed this before on the podcast.
We have discussed it. Yes. There's a pun in there.
It's somewhere. A Victorian steampunk-inspired seaport heavily influenced by the literary works of Jules Verne and H.G. Wells. But Discovery Bay, the project was indefinitely shelved due to budget constraints and shifting corporate priorities. So Baxter channeled his overflowing creative energy into Epcot Center, leading to a highly ambitious, fantastical design for the agriculture pavilion. It's so funny to even call it, to think about it as the agriculture pavilion. I'm going to call it that from now on.
What's that farmhand club?
What?
What's that?
Okay.
No, I'm asking a question.
Oh, no.
What's that farming agriculture club?
The one, like...
You know the one.
I do.
Oh.
It's like 4 letters, right?
Yeah.
And they're on a clover or something.
Yeah, well, that's 4-H, I think.
Oh, okay. There you go.
But
It's
there's
4-H.
there's another one that's like Farming and Agriculture of America, something.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, something like that.
can't
Y'all
believe
out
we
there
don't
now,
know.
give me a comment. You guys, if you're involved in that club, do you love living with the land, or do
Is
you
it
hate
your
it?
favorite, or did they misrepresent the land?
Oh,
Who knows?
ain't that the way? Always misrepresenting the land.
His original vision for the land avoided the brutalist concrete aesthetics common to the 1980s architecture. In its place, he proposed a striking crystalline masterpiece. The pavilion was to be composed of 7 towering, faceted glass crystal structures emerging from the earth, which would house 5 distinct terrestrial habitats. The narrative focus was strictly ecological, aiming to tell the story of the Earth's ecosystems and the eternal precarious conflict between preserving natural resources and developing them for human consumption.
Oh.
The anchor attraction for this crystalline pavilion was a proposed dark ride titled Blueprints of Nature. You ready for this?
Now, hold up.
Uh-huh.
That's a great name.
I know. It sounds amazing.
Replace Awesome Planet with Blueprints of Nature.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like it.
I'm sorry, go on.
Rather than floating peacefully in boats, as we do, guests would be suspended from an overhead track in ride vehicles designed to resemble whimsical hot air balloons. The mechanical system would utilize the same suspended principles as Peter Pan's flight, with hot air balloons. This suspended journey would carry guests through the 4 seasons, beginning on a frigid snow-capped mountaintop, which would be amazing in Florida.
Yeah.
And following the path of melting water as it cascades down through diverse biomes, ultimately drying up in a scorching desert.
Wow.
Does that sound amazing?
It reminds me of 2 things right off the bat.
Okay.
Number 1, what we have on Living with the Land now, where we go from the American frontier to the arid desert to the, we kind of do the biomes, the rainforest. And then also...
Just in a stupid boat.
In a stupid old boat. And then it also... Pardon me. It also reminds me of Test Track 1.0, in which there were hot and cold temperature rooms.
That was cool.
That was cool.
I liked that a lot.
Literally.
Yeah. This sounds amazing to me.
Yeah. Hot air balloons. Obviously, we get remnants of this concept in the current land pavilion, which is fun.
Yeah, it's like an Easter egg.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. But I didn't actually realize it was an Easter egg until this exact moment, because I did not know there was a hot air balloon ride.
I know, same. And I really think that it would have done better if they did do something like this, because think about how popular Peter Pan still is.
Yeah.
And some of that is because Peter Pan is such a well-loved movie.
Of course.
But I think it also has to do with the flying aspect.
The sensation of flying. Soaring before soaring.
Yeah, right? And I think that would have been a really cool thing for them to do, like boat rides now are kind of have a dime a dozen kind of feel.
Yeah. I feel like it is, we are talking now, we are in a world where Universal has let us know that they're working on Wicked theme park attractions.
Uh-huh.
And of course, everybody always thinks of a Defying Gravity roller coaster. That seems natural, but I feel like this type of ride system, a slow-moving hot air balloon ride system, actually makes a lot of sense for the Wicked universe.
They could do that. We don't know what they're doing, right?
No idea.
And they're doing a whole land, so they've got to do multiple. So yeah, that's a great idea.
That would be really cool.
So we might get that somewhere.
That would be nice.
Anyway, to guide guests through this ecological journey, Baxter and his team conceptualized a mythical host known as the Land Keeper. This eccentric, heavily bearded character was intended to be the heart and soul of the pavilion, providing narration and thematic coercion across the various attractions. The concept was heavily reminiscent of the Professor Marvel character Baxter had originally designed for Discovery Bay. However, the trajectory of the land was fundamentally altered by the financial realities of Epcot Center's corporate sponsorship model. The Walt Disney Company operated the park on a subsidized basis, wherein major global corporations would fund the design, construction, and maintenance of a pavilion in exchange for prominent branding rights, VIP lounges, and significant narrative input. So when Kraft Foods signed a 10-year agreement to sponsor the land, they brought a distinctly different set of priorities to the drafting table. Kraft, a massive international food conglomerate, had little interest in a purely ecological pavilion featuring mythical land keepers and suspended balloons.
Yeah, that's because they don't know what fun is like.
I know.
Losers.
Right? They just...
Give me my land keeper. He sounds dope.
Yeah.
He sounds so cool. A dream finder for the land.
It's not like what they did wind up making makes you want to go buy Kraft cheese.
Not at all.
So I don't,
what are you protecting?
Yeah.
Your god-awful brand reputation? Sorry, I'm just unloading on these corporate sponsors. Because this is always the interference where the true soul of an attraction goes to die.
Yeah.
As this corporate interference. Now, it sometimes persists throughout all the changes and you end up with something magical.
Does it?
But, well, in the case of something like Maelstrom, I feel like it made it way worse. Because remember, that was fraught with interference from the government of Norway.
Right.
In like a really weird way.
Yeah.
And so this type of thing, I feel like really bothers me. Makes me sad.
No, I know. The Kodak thing with the Imagination Pavilion was rough too. Like
Fuji is involved.
Yeah. Kodak killed the whole Fuji Pavilion in Japan. Like, it's crazy.
What is this brand war?
It's crazy. And so, yeah, you get in here and to sponsor the agriculture pavilion that's supposed to teach us about the land and farming and stuff. You get a processed cheese company that comes in here and is like, nah.
I honestly think, and
why processed cheese? I know they do more than that.
Damage control. They
have a lot of money.
They want to get ahead of messaging against processed food. So if they know that there's going to be attractions that talk about how these foods are unhealthy for Americans, they would like to spend their money making sure that Disney does not do that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The most important of the things that a brand gets out of an Epcot sponsorship is narrative control.
Yeah,
I believe.
That is such a good point. I hadn't really thought about it it's kind of evil, right?
It is actually.
It's like a dark.
It's very evil. They're controlling education.
Yeah, right. And back in this day, and I realized that a lot of the nutrition science wasn't out back then, but like even some of the represented foods in Kitchen Cabaret were like a jar of mayonnaise and like cereal boxes. And it's kind of comical.
Yes.
In a you get it. You get it. I'm just
that the jar of mayonnaise is giving you the nutrition.
Yeah.
For the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is comical.
Yeah.
We look back at that now and it's like a parody.
Yeah, a lot of times I do get frustrated with the sponsors because they're pulling the strings, and it's
nobody wants that. You want the creative people calling the shots.
Yes, Tony Baxter knows what he's doing.
Please,
like
let him cook.
Yeah, God. Anyway, not that we don't like the land in its current, living with the land in its current, which we'll get there.
We do.
We do.
For people who talk a lot of smack, we love the land.
Yeah, but I would think I would love it more.
With a suspended hot air balloon dark ride?
I do. I think the reason I love it now has a lot to do with nostalgia for me. And obviously, if this were there, then we would be like, boat ride, what? You know what I mean?
I do.
The newest boat ride in all of Walt Disney World is the Navi River one, correct? I believe so.
I think so, yeah. Well, not worldwide, but here, for
here.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I'm not getting into the other
Let's
parts.
not.
And while it is awesome in its own right. Still, I feel like it took people like a month to be like, boat ride? Nah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It does still get a good line because of the shaman, but it's a boat ride.
Yes. I find that to be a particularly boring boat ride.
I do too.
Not a lot of animatronics, a lot
I'll
of
take
screens.
pirates.
I happen to love set dressing.
Yeah.
But some people take their dressing on the side. They don't care about dressing as much, you know? Yeah. So, like, people are going to skip that one.
Mm-hmm. Dressing. Kraft does dressing. Yeah. Anyway, we just did a little hop around.
Yep.
Anyway, Kraft decided that they're not going to do all that. Let's see. Hold on. Their financial investment required a pavilion focused on agriculture, farming, food production, and human nutrition. Did it, though? Yeah. I mean, I guess it did, but I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, no.
They must make some healthy stuff.
Because that's the area that they're interested in having
control over. Yeah. Anyway, consequently, Baxter's delicate crystalline structures were scrapped. The exterior of the pavilion was entirely redesigned to resemble a massive, stylized, sloping green mountain that blends seamlessly into the central Floridian landscape.
Are they talking about the current building?
Yeah, they're saying that was kind of the
mountain where
the goal. I know. Well, they said sloping.
It slopes.
Sloping green mountain. I don't see it either. But anyway.
I like the shape of the land, but that is not a mountain. I even think Space Mountain is more of a mountain than that mountain.
Yeah. It's not like you look at it and don't think this is a building.
This is a building.
This suspended balloon ride was grounded, pun intended, transitioning to a high capacity.
I don't think your joke landed.
I know. Well, fair.
Got it land. No, okay.
When I wrote it, I didn't actually
think
about it.
I loved it because I love a terrible pun.
An accidental pun.
Oh, even better. Yeah.
And it was transitioned to a high-capacity, slow-moving boat ride that could efficiently move thousands of guests per hour while showcasing real functional agricultural greenhouses.
I can smell the water now.
Yeah, wouldn't this be so much more interesting from a hot air balloon?
Yes.
It would.
You already know.
It would.
Flying over the arid desert, flying over the farmhouse.
Sold on this now.
Flying over a crop. Like the rows of the crops.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they could use forced perspective to make it seem like you were really high, even though you weren't. Yes. Like they do in Peter Pan.
Or E.T. But
with crops. Yes. Yeah, that would be so cool.
And then when you get into the rainforest, you could be in the canopy.
Yeah.
So you're up there with the birds and the stuff, but then below you see the alligators, you see the river.
The only part I'm not sure about really is the greenhouses.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think they would have built the greenhouses very differently if they were attempting this.
If they had the greenhouses and you were like a kind of going along the side of it.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. And you could still see through.
I just think this would be so much more of an interesting ride.
I agree.
See, like it could have the same things, the same message, the same things to see. All of that.
Even the narration could be the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I would want to say up and away or something. That sounds fun, doesn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, the striking glass pyramid architecture and the whimsical bearded character of the landkeeper were directly recycled and evolved into the iconic Journey into the Imagination pavilion, constructed right next door, with the landkeeper morphing into the legendary and beloved character Dreamfinder.
Well, those things went where they needed to be.
Yeah. It's funny, he was dead set on putting a beloved bearded old guy somewhere. You know what I mean? He got it on his third try.
Maybe that's what his uncle looked like.
Maybe.
He really likes that uncle.
Maybe.
Yep.
Furthermore, here we go, as a subtle homage to Baxter's Unbuilt Blueprints of Nature, massive hot air balloons were suspended from the ceiling of the land's central atrium, where they remain hovering over diners to this day.
Love them.
Yeah. All right. So now I want to talk about the mosaic that is outside. This is gorgeous. We love this.
I love it.
I've got a little bit of information. We have like touched on this a little bit before, but I'm just going to go into it.
I try not to touch on it. How many people have put their hands
so
on
gross.
that?
So
nasty.
it's so germy. I mean, how often do you think it gets cleaned?
Never.
I don't know. It's Disney.
Probably
they
a
might
lot.
clean it every night. Yeah. Approaching the Land Pavilion, guests are greeted by a sprawling 3,000 square foot mosaic mural that flanks both sides of the entrance walkway. This monumental work of art serves as a breathtaking visual overture to the pavilion's themes.
Ooh.
I think this is all part that's supposed to be the like sloping green meadowy.
Okay. Okay. That actually makes sense to me.
Yeah.
If you include the mosaic.
Yeah, and you are walking like up a hill.
Yeah. Very much so.
Very much so. It can be a lot on a hot day.
Bring your trail mix, girl. It's a hike.
Anyway, depicting the mosaic is depicting a stylized cross section of the earth. The mural consists of approximately 150,000 individually cut and shaped tiles, meticulously assembled from 9 basic materials: marble, granite, slate, Byzantine glass, Venetian glass, gold, mirror, ceramic, and natural pebbles. These varied materials span an astonishing 131 different colors, creating a textural and visual depth that shifts dynamically depending on the angle of the sun.
Yeah.
The installation process alone took 3 full months of grueling labor leading up to the park's 1982 opening. The creation of the mosaic was a collaborative effort involving Disney background artist Walt Paragoy, renowned for his avant-garde color styling on Sleeping Beauty and 101 Dalmatians, and the specialized mosaic team of Hans, I'm going to say this wrong, Joachim Scharf, although you've probably heard a little bit about this guy. We've mentioned him.
Well, I used to drink with Hans.
No, you didn't.
Joachim Scharf.
And his daughter-in-law,
but then I found
Monica
out something
Scharf.
About him that changed my mind.
Right.
Okay, thank you for giving me time to fix that.
Okay. Hans Scharf's biography represents one of the most fascinating and unexpected third-order historical anecdotes in Disney Parks history. Do you remember this now?
Yeah.
Okay. During World War II, he served as a master interrogator for the German army. Renowned for his psychological insight, he famously rejected physical coercion, torture, and threats, and instead utilized a technique of extreme empathy, friendly conversation, nature walks, and the illusion of friendship to extract vital intelligence from captured Allied fighter pilots.
Wow.
He would casually mention that his hands were tied and he simply needed small details to prove to the Gestapo that his prisoners were legitimate airmen and not spies, thereby keeping them safely in the relatively comfortable camps that they were in at that time.
Yeah.
Which it sounds nice that he wasn't using torture, but this was, of course, pure manipulation, and the information he obtained led to massive casualties.
Yep.
Following the war, he migrated to the United States, where his highly effective nonviolent interrogation techniques were actively studied and adapted by the U.S. military. Seeking a peaceful post-war life, he turned to his longtime hobby of mosaic artistry. He achieved massive commercial success, which blows my mind.
Yeah.
Creating thousands of custom mosaic tables for Neiman Marcus, eventually securing high-profile architectural commissions. This included the breathtaking 5-panel Cinderella Castle mosaic murals at the Magic Kingdom, and subsequently the Land Pavilion at Epcot Center. Do with that what you will. I don't know.
I'm going to make a mosaic about my feelings.
Okay.
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
But luckily, mosaics, they come in so many different colors, all the different rocks, and depending on the angle that the sun hits it, it might reflect differently.
Yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around this information.
I would prefer not to.
Yeah. Did they know? You know what I mean? When they hired him, did they know? I don't
know.
Mind blowing. Moving on. The installation of the land's mosaic was not without its engineering challenges, and when it came time to mount the completed mosaic panels, the team discovered a significant mathematical error. It's because they didn't have a math pavilion. Paraguay's design measurements were approximately 3 feet longer than the actual concrete walls constructed for the pavilion. Unwilling to chop 3 feet off the intricate artwork and unable to magically extend the building's concrete foundation, Hans and Monica Sharif, I'm still sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, sorry.
Oh, whatever.
I guess, proposed an ingenious, visually pleasing solution. They gently curved the bottom of the mural down to the ground. Today, keen-eyed observers walking up to the entry ramp can spot the seamless curving transition where the wall art slopes elegantly into the pavement, turning a mathematical disaster into an architectural feature.
Yeah. Disney has done that before as well. The miscalculating.
Crazy.
So if I had a nickel for every time that Disney miscalculated the dimensions of an attraction before building it, and therefore were unable to build the attraction as intended, I would have 2 nickels. But it's still weird that it happened.
Yeah.
At the same park.
I bet you'd have more than 2, actually.
I think so too.
These are the 2 you've heard about.
Yeah.
I heard something similar on a like a behind the scenes cruise tour. But go on.
No,
for
that's
a cruise
it.
thing. Oh, okay.
I just found it so interesting.
It is
Disney
interesting.
Sometimes, despite having all of these, of course, they've got at the fingertips, they've got the world's premiere.
I mean, everybody makes mistakes, but this seems big, I mean, how many times would I check this?
The entire project depends on these dimensions.
Yeah, crazy.
Wild.
There is a whole legend about an emerald tile. Have you heard of this?
I have heard of this.
Okay. When I was researching, I came across this. I hadn't heard this, so I was like, I wonder how big this is. But if you've heard of it, I will briefly go into it.
Okay.
The land's mosaic is also the subject of one of Disney World's most enduring and widely circulated urban legends, although I had not heard of it. For decades, the story has persisted among Disney cast members, tour guides, and trivia enthusiasts regarding a single emerald green tile located on the right side mural, roughly 5 to 6 feet off the ground near the entrance doors. The legend says that the murals on the left and right of the entrance were designed to be exact symmetrical duplicates. And according to the myth, the artist, frustrated by the strict corporate mandate for perfect symmetry, or perhaps wishing to leave a hidden signature, intentionally placed a single emerald tile as a subtle act of artistic rebellion. Variations of the legend claim that the emerald represents the birthstone of either Hans or Monica's first son. Other iterations suggest that there is a corresponding ruby tile on the opposite wall representing Hans' birthstone. While the emerald tile does physically exist and undeniably stands out among the surrounding beige and brown earth tones in that area, the romantic legend behind it is entirely false. Author Tim Foster conducted an investigation into the myth and directly contacted Monica Sharif to verify the story, and she confirmed that neither she nor Hans had a birthstone remotely related to an emerald. Hers is actually an opal, and he was born in December. I don't know what that is. I think it's blue, right? Like a teal.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. It's not emerald.
You're correct, it is.
Furthermore, contrary to the same rumors, Hans and Monica were father-in-law and daughter-in-law, and I guess people had thought that they were married. Monica definitively debunked the artistic rebellion theory, stating that there was never any deliberate intention to hide a signature or birthstone within the piece. The most probable explanation, she says, is that a standard tile was chipped, lost, or damaged during the complex on-site assembly, and a craftsman simply substituted it with an available emerald tile to finish the job. Thus, the simple logistical substitution birthed a 4-decade-long theme park myth that continues to be repeated. So if you hear that one, don't believe it. Not true.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I believe the emerald tile is real.
Well, go for it. I can't believe an artist doesn't sign his work in some way. I don't, you know what I mean? So I bet there's something. I don't know that that's it, because that's pretty obvious. But
yeah, it turns out, I wonder if they thought at the time that it would ever be remarked upon.
Yeah.
How interesting.
At the heart of the pavilion, I'm moving on. Is that okay?
Let's do it.
All right.
Pedal to the metal. At
the heart of the pavilion lies the anchor attraction, if you don't include Soarin', which I would call the anchor attraction now. But back in the day.
Yeah.
A 14-minute and 55-second boat ride that we all know and love, or we all know. I don't know that everybody loves it. It doesn't do well during the year, and then at Christmas you have to wait for like hours to get on this thing
because of glistening greenhouses.
Because of Christmas lights. Over its 40-plus year history, the attraction has operated under two primary identities: Listen to the Land from 1982 to 1993 and Living with the Land from 1993 to present. Era 1, Listen to the Land, debuted on October 1st, 1982. It was a quintessential Epcot edutainment dark ride. It originally opened with a highly stylized avant-garde sequence titled The Symphony of the Seed, which was designed by Walt Paraguay. This is a whimsical scene featuring massive twisted neon-lit roots and glowing fiberglass plant structures that synchronize to music, providing a poetic, abstract representation of a seed germinating in the earth. I looked this up to watch it. Unfortunately, the video quality from 1992 and earlier is horrific.
Yeah.
I mean, also taken by just like random visitors.
Yeah.
So it was hard to get a grasp on, but this sounds so cool.
Yeah, I love it when Disney does weird artsy stuff like this.
Yeah, especially with lights and like,
oh yeah,
and synchronized to music and stuff like that. How cool does this sound?
Definitely reminds me of Adventure Through Inner Space.
I'm surprised that this wound up getting cut later.
Yeah.
The original attraction was notably distinguished by its audio presentation. Rather than utilizing automated spiels, every single boat was staffed by a live Disney cast member positioned at the bow. Armed with a microphone, like on Jungle Cruise, these cast members provided real-time interactive tours, pointing out specific crops, explaining complex irrigation techniques, and occasionally improvising based on the dynamic nature of the living greenhouses.
I liked the live tour guides.
Yeah, I think I remember that. You think you remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not as funny as Jungle Cruise, but you know.
Of course not.
The emotional core of this ride was the theme song, Listen to the Land, composed by Bob Moline. I think I'm saying that right?
Yes.
The gentle, folksy, acoustic anthem featuring lyrics celebrating nature's rhythms and the promise of sustainable farming became a quiet anthem for Epcot's educational philosophy. It served as a tranquil, organic counterpart to the bombastic synthesizer scores found in neighboring Future World pavilions.
Oh, the loud, noisy neighbors.
Yeah.
I prefer my American folk music.
From 1993 to present, we had Living with the Land. So in the 90s, Kraft's 10-year sponsorship contract concluded.
Get out of here.
And the international food conglomerate Nestle assumed sponsorship of the pavilion in 1993.
Woo!
Go chocolate.
Go chocolate.
Nestle initiated a massive multi-year pavilion-wide overhaul aimed at modernizing the exhibits, refreshing the color palette, and aligning the attractions with contemporary environmental science.
Yep.
On September 27th, 93, Listen to the Land closed its doors for refurbishment. When it opened a few months later in December, it had been retooled and rechristened Living with the Land. The overall tone of the attraction shifted from musical storytelling to direct, urgent environmental education. Why?
Interesting.
Yeah. Not sure.
I like that song. I wish they would bring the song back. I liked it quite a bit.
It is very folksy.
You take a tiny little seed.
Yeah. I thought maybe we'd play a little bit of it, but
I don't know. I don't know if we're allowed to.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think we are.
Maybe a couple seconds of a clip or something. I got it. You take a tiny little seed. No, just kidding.
Okay. That's it? That's all you... Okay.
Listen to the land.
Good job.
I like that song quite a bit.
Okay, cool.
It's got a plucky little guitar part. They included it in the Epcot Forever fireworks show, and I was like, who remembers this?
No, it also said in my research that it can still be heard playing in the background music loop of the nearby Garden Grill restaurant.
I didn't know
which
that.
Makes me want to go check that out, which I might do because for pass holders, Garden Grill is 40% off for the summer. Yeah, and I think I might check that out.
Heck yeah. The last place you can listen.
But I'm going to have to really be paying attention.
You better listen to the
You know what I mean? I'm going to be like, hold on, Pluto.
I'm listening to the land.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. The Abstract Symphony of the Sea, which is the light thing we were talking about a second ago was demolished, and in its place, Imagineers installed a dramatic, realistic thunderstorm sequence. They just got real serious.
Yeah, they decided they were,
they were gonna hammer this stuff into you. We need to take action. Yeah. Guests now float into a dark, windswept forest where lightning flashes and rain seemingly pours from the ceiling, illustrated by the violent yet essential mechanisms by which water and minerals are trapped by roots to create the foundation of life. That theme song was entirely taken out, replaced by a sweeping cinematic orchestral score composed by George Wilkins.
I do like this like woodwind and drums soundtrack that we have now.
Oh, you do? You like the seriousness of it? Do you feel serious?
It feels ceremonial.
Okay.
It feels like it's paying tribute to nature.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
I
that's
like
fair.
it. Yeah.
Not as happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, I like it. It's fun.
Yeah. There are a few Easter eggs within the ride I'm going to mention. In the desert biome, there are animatronic buffalo and prairie dogs, which were originally built for the canceled Western River Expedition Magic Kingdom ride in the 1970s.
My boy Tony Baxter.
In the American Prairie scene, the farmhouse dog. Do you know what the Easter egg is for the farmhouse dog?
Walt Disney's brain frozen inside.
Oh, for a millisecond, I thought you were gonna get it right. Okay, no. You want to try again?
Nope.
Okay, this dog is modeled directly after Walt Disney's dog. The same mold is used in the Carousel of Progress and Pirates of the Caribbean.
I thought you were going to say this dog is modeled after Walt Disney.
And I thought you were going to say Walt Disney's dog, and then you said brain. So we're not like connected right now. We need to work on this.
No.
In the American Prairie scene, there is a mailbox inscription, and it says B. Jones, which Jones is my last name, so this is for me.
Every time I look at it.
And then it says RFD number 82, which I've actually never noticed. I've only noticed the name. But according to this, it also says RFD 82, which is a nod to the opening year of Epcot. My research doesn't say anything about who B. Jones is.
Interesting. I wonder, what is RFD?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know any part of that. The only thing I get is the 82.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the 82. And I love that it's B. Jones because Morgan has a son named Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
when I see it, I always think of Bailey because that's his name.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But like, yeah, I don't know. I don't get the 82.
Yeah, weird. Weird. Anyway, and I bet there is something to it.
Gotta be.
Maybe I'll look more into it later.
Yeah.
The most significant operational shift with the ride's history occurred on August 20th, 2006, and that's when the live cast member narrators were replaced by speakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, they did replace it with a pre-recorded automated audio spiel voiced by Mike Brassel, who also did the narration for the People Mover. So I guess that's something. But yeah, a lot of people were upset about the loss of the personal connection of having a cast member doing the spiels.
Yep.
But yeah, that it happens. Let's see. So the greenhouses in there are more than just a theme park set dressing, like we were saying earlier. They're active USDA affiliated research facilities that yield over 30 tons of produce annually. 30 tons of produce annually. So yeah, that's where all that space, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
The high capacity attraction floats guests through 5 distinct agricultural zones. There's the tropics greenhouse, the aqua cell, which is where you see the fish, the temperate greenhouses, that's where the desert, they're also known as desert greenhouses, the string greenhouses, which is where they do the vertical growing techniques and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They actually, in that one, have a famous tomato tree that's a single massive vine that produces an astonishing 32,000 tomatoes in just 16 months, earning a Guinness World Record. And then there's the creative greenhouse, which is the final zone, and it's like a futuristic testing ground. And that's where you'll see the aeroponics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They actually worked with NASA and created, they create technologies that would require, so that they could grow plants like at the space station and stuff like that. They created something at the land and made it so that they were successfully able to grow lettuce in the International Space Station. Like, it's actually worked.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that either. It was very cool.
Weird. How cool.
Yeah.
Go Epcot.
Yeah. They do have the Behind the Seeds tour, which I mentioned earlier because Jake has been on it. It's been running since 1982, where you can go back and, well, you know, like go around. It's like $100 or something like that, or less. It's not that bad.
Yeah, I think it's less.
And you get a good tour of everything.
You do, and even perhaps more valuable is that you get time with one of the actual research leads there, who really not only takes the time to explain what each of the processes are and how they operate, but will also point out certain elements of the attraction that has either been there since the beginning or have changed throughout the years. When we went, they were getting ready to remove a tree that had been in the attraction since its very beginning. So they were kind of saying goodbye to it.
Did they say what tree it was? Was it a famous tree? I know that's stupid, but in my research, I saw that there was a tree that they like inherited that was from 1900.
Yeah. I think that was it. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
I think they chopped it all up and moved it out, or he said that's what they were planning to do.
Okay,
was to chop it all up and move it out.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Should I continue, or should we do a part 2?
Well, I feel like we should cap it here.
Okay.
And then we should we should live with the land more.
Okay. Okay, there's still so much. I didn't realize it's because of all of the backstory on what it was going to be and stuff like that. It was a lot bigger of a story than I anticipated.
Well, yes, you have to start at the beginning. Let me remind you. You take a tiny little seed. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so in the next episode, we will see the seed of living with the land grow into the land pavilion we know today.
Yeah, we'll talk about the garden grill and
yes, we've got to get to that.
We've got the shows and even the food court.
We've barely scratched the surface of the land.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode. If you would like to follow us more, you can do that on social media. We're on Instagram and TikTok at Neverland Navigation.
Yep. If you are thinking about taking a Disney trip and you want a land shirt, or dish towel, I think the land makes a really good dish towel. You know,
yes.
We have an Etsy store called Neverland Navigation. If you go on there, you can send me a message and tell me you want a land shirt or a land, whatever
They've got
it is.
A cool pavilion icon thing.
Yeah,
as well.
They do.
Theirs
I agree.
Nice.
Yeah. What we do is custom stuff, so it's not really shopping around the store. It's more going to the store to send me a message to say, hey, what I like is this, what do you have? And then I send you a bunch of options. I can't even begin to post everything. It's too much.
Yes, it's a collaborative experience.
Yeah, so go to Neverland Navigation store on Etsy and send me a message.
Absolutely. We're off to go press our ears to the land, so we'll see you on our next adventure.